We're back on the Bedlam Nation conversation. I'm Mike Sherman with beat writers John Helsley and Scott Wright, and we're talking Bedlam football. Guys, spring football is over, and we're months away from the start of the season, so everyone's got time to make lists. ESPN had two really interesting ones recently. One of them's Todd McShay's 2010 NFL mock draft list, and the other one's Tim Griffin's list of the top 40 players in the Big 12. John, let's start with you and McShay's early mock draft list. What's that look like again? Remind us.
Well, right off the bat, you've got Sam Bradford going number one to the St. Louis Rams. Not that McShay's picking the Rams to finish that bad. He's still got the Lions as the worst team in football, but the Rams making a trade, I kind of like that angle to it. You've got all kinds of guys really represented. You've got Trent Williams. You've got, who else are we talking about here? Jermaine Gresham. You've got Gerald McCoy. I mean, up and down, there's all kinds of Oklahoma players that we're familiar with, guys that we would expect to go high in the draft. It's going to be really, in the first half of the draft, is going to be dominated, I think, by Oklahoma players.
And then you got Des Bryant, Russell Okung. But, guys, I put this question to you. Who is not on this list from OU first, John, that you could see having a great season and really skyrocketing?
Well, I think a guy that fits real well into that would be Jeremy Beal, the defensive end. The NFL is always looking for pass rushers. He really had a great season last year. I think he's going to be even better this coming season. And, he's got the size. He's got that great speed. I think he's a guy that could really make a rise.
Scott, how about Oklahoma State?
First, the interesting thing is that Des Bryant actually isn't in the first round of McShay's draft, and I think he's definitely going to be probably top half of the first round, the top wide receiver taken. I think there's a really good chance of that. But as far as a guy that you're not expecting, there are a few guys out there. I think Parrish Cox has an NFL future. Andre Sexton is going to get a chance probably somewhere, probably get drafted. But the guy that kind of comes out of left field that maybe people aren't thinking about as an NFL prospect right now that I think will be, Hugo Chinasa, going a little bit the same route as John, a defensive end. He's definitely got the body at 6'5", the athletic ability. He's a good speed guy off of the end, and I think that those real pass rushers become very valuable on draft day. I think he's a guy that he's only a sophomore, he'll only be a junior. So should he decide to come out, I think that he's probably got a future.
Okay, guys. The other list, of course, is Tim Griffin's list. He's the ESPN blogger for the Big 12. And OSU is really well represented on this. OU dominates, but OSU is well represented. Scott, is that a sign that the Cowboys have their most talented team since 1988?
I really think that it is. We started to see some of that last year with the guys that they had. Obviously, Brandon Pettigrew was really the only guy that they lost off of that team as far as star power. And so, you look at what they've got coming back. Des Bryant, Russell Okung, Zach Robinson, who, you're talking NFL, he's maybe not in the conversation real high, but when you're talking about playmakers in college football, he's definitely in the mix. Then on defense with Cox and Sexton, I think that all around this is the best team as far as talent since Hartley Dykes and Barry Sanders left in '88.
Okay, guys, and OU, they got like 11 or 12 players on that list, including Matt Clapp. Texas A&M, 0. John, who's not on that list for OU that you think could be really making an impact?
Well, how about Dominique Franks, who really had a great season last year? Both corners, Brian Jackson, Dominique Franks, played well last year, first year in full-time jobs. I like those guys going forward. I think either one of those guys could have a big-time future.
Okay, you can check out both of those lists, of course, at ESPN.com. And you can check out all the conversation on all things OU and OSU at the only website dedicated to both schools. That's bedlamnation.com. And then you can follow the best coverage team anywhere every day at News OK and every morning in the Oklahoma.